What's up, guys? Josh Mosiman here from Motocross Action Magazine. Welcome to another episode of our This Week in MXA video series. This is episode number 66, and in this video, we're going to dive into Yamaha's new electric technology, the steps they're taking forward to get closer to electric motorcycles, and even doing some electric steering dampeners and electric power steering on dirt bikes. That's pretty interesting. And also, Eli Tomac's domination of the Seattle Supercross, takeouts, big time crashes. The list of riders that actually missed Seattle was pretty staggering as well. We're going to talk about that and some more topics in this video. Let's dive into it. All right, so we'll start off with Yamaha's announcements that they just came out with last week. 2 electric bike press releases came out. Not really electric bike, but one was an actual electric bike, trials bike. It's their 2.0 version of their electric trials bike. So it's not the first trials bike that has been electric from Yamaha. That came out in 2018, I believe, but the new one is out and it's pretty interesting. It's cool to see Yamaha taking steps forward in that direction. But the part that was more interesting for me was their new electric power steering device that they're talking about testing this year in the Japan Nationals and also implementing onto their production bikes here in the near future. So pretty interesting. I'll read the first sentence off of their press release. It says that the prototype steering support system uses a torque sensor, magnetic technology, and an actuator that results in steering dampening benefits at higher speeds and steering assist input at lower speeds. So when I first think of power steering in motocross, I think of, making it easier to turn, but you don't turn the handlebars that often in motocross. I mean, when you're leaning into a corner, it's not like you're making sharp turns unless you're doing some tight single track trails where you have to turn a lot and you're going really slow. That's where I could see power steering really helping. So the power steering side of it, for me, racing motocross tracks doesn't make a ton of sense, but obviously I haven't tried it or seen it in person. The steering dampening benefits of it, now that is something that's very interesting for guys that are racing off-road, guys that are racing desert, and even fast motocross tracks. We've seen that even in Supercross, some of the factory teams use steering dampeners. Most notably, right now, the Lawrence brothers, Jet and Hunter Lawrence, are running steering dampeners on their Honda CRF 250s in Supercross right now. We know that other factory riders have ran them in the past. KTM's Ryan Dungey ran it in the past, so it's not uncommon, but it's very interesting to see electric assist steering dampening. If it works, great. I mean, I think it's really exciting. It's definitely going to be more technology going on to motorcycles, and it sounds like they're going to be testing them in the Japan Nationals this year and working to implement them on their production bikes in the future. Very interesting stuff coming from Yamaha. Next up, we'll dive into the Seattle Supercross. It was round 12 of the Monster Energy Supercross season, and now we're actually going to have the first weekend off of the year this upcoming Saturday. The schedule's a little bit different. Normally, the series takes Easter weekend off. This time, they're going to be actually racing on Easter weekend, but taking this upcoming weekend off. So the riders had the first break, at least the 450 riders do, after 12 weekends in a row of racing. It's going to be really good for our long list of injured riders who have missed recent races, especially the Seattle Supercross. I counted out, there's about 9 riders that missed Seattle Supercross. Ken Roczen, obviously one of them. We think he's probably out for the whole season. Chase Sexton missed it after his big practice crash. Dylan Ferrandis missed it after hurting his wrist at Detroit. He's missed the last 2 rounds now. Joey Savacci is out. Aaron Plessinger is out. Adam Cianciarulo is out. Justin Brayton, he missed the Seattle Supercross due to concussion. Shane McElrath missed Seattle Supercross due to concussion. And Max Anstey, he's missed the last few rounds and he's expected to hopefully come back to racing soon. So a lot of guys missed the Seattle Supercross, but racing was still gnarly. The track was still tough. It was extremely rutted out there. Eli Tomac made it look so easy at the front of the pack. He now has a 54-point lead, so a massive gap on the rest of the field. Jason Anderson finished second place on the night, and he sits second in the standings, but he's, pretty much out of it for the championship. And I would have to say that 450 main event was about as boring as it gets. Justin Barcia, he made it exciting with that, holding a little bit of a wheel on Eli Tomac at the beginning of the race and then having a massive crash early on in the race. Jason Anderson in the post-race press conference said that he was more just trying to gain some momentum after crashing weeks prior, being taken out last week at Indy. He just wanted to finish on the podium and get some momentum going in the right direction. So it's kind of nice to hear that coming from Jason Anderson, knowing that he wasn't pushing all out and having Eli Tomac still win by 14 seconds. So hopefully Jason Anderson can close the gap when we come back racing 2 weeks in St. Louis and make things a little bit more exciting at the front of the pack. Next up, I gotta explain Chase Sexton's massive crash in practice. It came right after him and Jason Anderson were kind of messing around with each other. The moral of that story was basically Chase Sexton didn't see Jason Anderson. Jason was on a fast lap in qualifying. Sexton cut across, messed up Jason Anderson's fast lap. That made Jason mad. Then he went to try to block pass Chase, just a kind of a slow messing around. Chase then dove underneath him, anticipated that block pass, and then he stopped and brake checked Jason. So they were kind of playing a little cat and mouse, messing with each other in practice, little playing kind of games with their egos, and it's fun to watch if you're watching practice and if you're watching qualifying. But then shortly after that, the next lap, Chase Sexton had that massive crash. He went out of the first turn, triple onto the tabletop. Mid-air, you could see his left foot shift up, but didn't click the shift all the way. He landed in neutral, and the sheer force of how much momentum and how much weight his motorcycle has, when it lands and there's no power going to the rear wheel, it's almost like landing and stopping. You could see his legs immediately fly off. He does a full over the handlebars wad into the next jump. It was crazy that he didn't get hurt worse than he did. He was able to get up, ride back to the mechanics area, or at least somehow get back to the mechanics area. And I thought that he was going to try to race, but didn't end up racing. He missed Seattle Supercross. Thankfully, he says he's okay, and I think he'll be back in 2 weeks. Cooper Webb also had a massive crash in qualifying as well. They didn't capture a great video of it, but you can kind of see a blurry footage that Supercross sent us from that. And MXA's Trevor Nelson was on the scene to catch Cooper Webb sliding across the concrete. Big hard hit for Cooper Webb. We were glad that he was okay and able to remount and get back on the bike and finish out the night. And he finished 6th place behind Justin Barcia in the main event. Talking on the 250 class, it was awesome to have 250 West back racing again. Personally, because my favorite rider of all time was out there, Michael Mosiman, my little brother. Good times having him out there on the track. He was going quick in qualifying. Fastest qualifier in the 250 class. He had the fastest time of the day in qualifying, so that was super cool. And then this was actually the first time anybody was able to beat Christian Craig overall qualifying time during the day, so that was cool. Heat race, he struggled big time, and then in the main event, got a 2nd place start right behind Christian Craig, and as everybody saw it on TV, they replayed it many times, dove up the inside of Christian and made the pass and took over the lead early on in the main event. But it was more than just a pass. It was actually a takeout, and I'll call it a takeout, even though in my opinion, and a lot of opinions, it wasn't dirty or, across the line. Even Christian Craig, after the race, he said that he was sour about it. He said that he wasn't happy, said that he's been taken out 3 times this season. But then later on, after things cooled down, I'm sure he watched the replay. He took to Twitter and posted that he didn't have a problem with Michael's pass on him, and that he kind of overreacted in his post-race press conference interviews and such things like that. So diving up the inside, Christian Craig looks over at him mid-air, dive up the inside, and then Michael loses his rear wheel. His rear wheel gets kicked underneath Christian Craig's wheel. That causes Craig's bike to hit Michael's rear rotor and causes Craig to go down off the side of the track. It looked violent, especially from the point of view that we have here on video. But if you look a little bit closer, he actually didn't really hit him except for his rear wheel. That did cause Christian to go over the bars. He had really no way of saving that. And it also damaged Michael's rear brake and his rotor being totally bent up. So at the beginning, right after Michael made the pass, his rear wheel was dragging hard, big time on it. And he still had his rear brake for a little bit. Then it overheated quickly, lost his rear brake, and was struggling to keep going on the main event. So I was questioning, I was like, man, is he getting tired? What's he been doing these last 5 or 6 weeks? But he dropped back to 3rd place. Still a solid finish for him. Hunter Lawrence went on to win his 2nd main event of the season. Christian Craig went down, got back up in 6th place, came all the way back to 2nd place. Fun times watching the 250 class back in action. We talked about it, or the TV announcers talked about it a lot on the broadcast. It's going to be interesting when the series does the East-West shootout. The next one is going to be at Atlanta. They're going to do an East-West showdown at Atlanta, and then again they'll do another East-West showdown at the Salt Lake City Supercross finale. So 2 East-West showdowns coming up. Jet Lawrence versus Christian Craig is going to be interesting, especially when you throw Michael and Hunter and Cameron McAdoo and the rest of the guys into the mix. It's going to be fun to watch. Next up, I want to talk about the brand new O'Neal Prodigy gear that Dean Wilson and the rest of the O'Neal riders debuted this past weekend at the Seattle Supercross. It came out with 2 colorways this year, back by popular demand. The first Prodigy gear was the representation of their 50 years of creating motocross gear in this market. O'Neal's been around for a long time, and they came out with the Prodigy line to basically just build on that 50-year anniversary and do something special for everybody. Backed by popular demand, as I just mentioned, the new Prodigy gear is out for 2023, 2022 and a half really. Yellow and also black and gray colorways just came out. Very exciting stuff. It's available in Europe and Australia, I believe, but coming soon to the US here in the next week or two. So exciting stuff there. That stuff is super comfortable, form-fitting. It's the athletic type gear, so athletic fit, a little more tight, but also comfortable, breathable, and good stuff from O'Neill. I'm excited to get my hands on it. You guys should be too. Check it out, o'neill.com. All right, and then another topic, I want to highlight the April issue of Motocross Action Magazine where I graced the cover on Alex Martin's YZ450F. This is a fun issue of the magazine for many reasons. One, you have a really cool article with me that I wrote on Alex Martin's 450 Club MX Yamaha bike and talking about all the different things that that team has done to make that bike fit him. That thing had some awesome, smooth, epic power that I just loved, and the chassis and just the cramped feel of it was, for a guy like me, 6 feet tall, riding Alex Martin's settings, was wild. Pretty funny story there. Also have our 125 shootout in there as well. That was a lot of fun doing that, breaking apart each motorcycle there, comparing the new Yamaha versus the KTM Husky and Gas bikes. And we have some 500 project bikes, kind of shootout head-to-head where we test a KX 500 and a CR 500, both built by Nathan Alexander. Beautiful motorcycles and a lot of fun riding those bikes. Check it out in the April issue of MXA before it's off the newsstands. All right, thank you guys for tuning into this video. For more information on any of these topics that we touched on, check out motocrossactionmag.com. Also, check out our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell button to get notifications every time we upload a new video. Just uploaded a Gas 252 stroke video. That was pretty fun. Got a lot more coming to the website and YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.